But when its true identity was revealed, collectors couldn't believe what they were seeing. A simple 1971 penny, no mint mark, that turned out to be worth up to $1 million. A coin that millions of Americans spent without a second thought, now changing hands for more money than most people make in a decade. But this story isn't fiction. It's one of those rare twists of fate where history, metal, and a tiny minting mistake combine to create a once-in-a-lifetime treasure. Let's rewind to 1971. The Vietnam War was still raging, Apollo missions were touching the stars, and inflation was starting to bite. Pennies were made mostly of copper, just as they had been for decades. But hidden among the billions minted that year, a few coins came out, different, unmarked, imperfect. And that imperfection would one day turn them into treasures worth a fortune. Most pennies from 1971 were made at the Philadelphia Mint, which traditionally didn't include a mint mark. So, at first glance, a no-mint mark 1971 penny looks completely ordinary. But not all no-mint mark pennies are the same. Some have microscopic differences, a doubling of Lincoln's profile or the inscriptions, so subtle you'd never notice it without magnification. But for experts, that doubling can be the difference between 1 cent and $1 million. The story of the 1971 no-mint mark penny's rise to fame begins with a single collector, a man sorting through a pile of change in the late 1990s. He noticed something strange about the letters on his penny. Liberty looked thicker than usual, and the date had a ghost-like shadow. Curious, he took it to a local coin shop, expecting maybe a few dollars. But when the dealer looked under magnification, his jaw dropped. What he was holding was a 1971 double-die penny, a coin struck twice by the minting press in slightly different positions. That doubling, especially on the date and the words, "In God We Trust," made this penny one of the rarest Lincoln cents ever discovered. And when news of it spread, collectors went wild. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. At an auction in the early 2000s, a pristine 1971 no-mint mark double-die penny, perfectly preserved, with its copper luster still shining, sold for an amount that shocked everyone in the room. Nearly $1 million. For a penny that could have been hiding in anyone's change jar, collectors were speechless. Dealers began scrambling through old inventory, magnifying every 1971 penny they could find. Suddenly, this humble copper coin became a symbol of possibility, proof that even in the smallest corners of American currency, miracles still exist. What makes it so valuable isn't just the doubling. It's the story. This coin isn't simply a product of error, it's a relic of precision gone wrong, a reminder that even machines can create masterpieces by accident. Each double die tells a story of timing, pressure, and metal alignment so rare that it might never happen again in exactly the same way. And here's the kicker: there are still some of these coins out there, waiting to be found. Many believe several thousand could have been released into circulation before the mistake was caught. Some are worn from years of use, their details faint but still worth thousands. Others remain hidden, untouched, perhaps sitting quietly in a box of old coins someone's grandfather collected decades ago. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle. But how can you tell if you're holding one of these priceless pennies? Start by checking the date, 1971. If there's no mint mark under the date, that's a good start. But don't stop there. Look closely, and I mean closely, at the words, "In God We Trust," and "Liberty." If you see thick letters, ghosting, or what looks like a shadow behind them, you could be looking at a double die. Use a magnifying glass or a jeweler's loupe, because this detail is so small, most people miss it completely. True double die coins from 1971 have the most noticeable doubling on the "Liberty" and the date itself. Fake doubling, known as machine doubling, looks flat and lifeless. But the real deal has depth, a three-dimensional quality that jumps out when light hits it. Collectors are always hunting for these. Even well-worn examples can sell for hundreds or thousands of dollars. But the pristine, uncirculated ones, those are the gems that can reach into the hundreds of thousands, even up to that magical $1 million mark. Just imagine that moment. You pull an old jar off a shelf, pour out a pile of pennies, and there it is. The 1971 no-mint mark penny with doubling that could change your life forever. That's not just a dream, it's happened before. And it can happen again. That collector's penny, the one that started it all? It's now a legend. Passed through private collections, insured for more than some houses, and considered one of the crown jewels of Lincoln's cents. Every major coin show, people whisper about it, the $1 million penny that no one saw coming. The mint never officially confirmed exactly how many were made, or how many still exist. Which means every 1971 penny without a mint mark carries a little mystery, a chance, a story waiting to be uncovered. There's something poetic about that a coin worth just 1 cent could hold such enormous potential. It's not just about money. It's about the thrill of discovery, the chase, and the idea that history could be hiding right under your nose. So, the next time you come across a handful of old change, don't ignore those 1971 pennies. Don't assume they're worthless just because they look ordinary. Because sometimes, the most extraordinary treasures are the ones that blend in the best. Dealers are still searching, collectors are still dreaming, and the legend of the 1971 no-mint mark Lincoln penny continues to grow. From grocery store counters to million-dollar auctions, this coin has traveled farther than anyone could imagine. And if you're lucky enough to find one, if you look closely enough, believe deeply enough, and check that detail everyone else missed, you might just uncover your own miracle hiding in plain sight. The 1989 no-mint mark Lincoln penny, a simple, everyday coin, turned out to be one of the most shocking discoveries in modern coin history. Imagine holding a penny you've seen 1,000 times before, and realizing it could change your life forever. It all began like any other day. A man in Illinois was sorting through an old jar of coins his father left behind. Most were just copper and zinc, nothing special. But one penny stood out. It didn't have a mint mark. It looked ordinary, yet somehow different. What he didn't know was that he was holding one of the rarest mistakes ever made by the U.S. Mint, a 1989 Lincoln penny worth up to $1.10 million. Now, 1989 was a year when millions of pennies rolled out of the U.S. Mint, each stamped with precision. Denver pennies carried the D. Philadelphia pennies? Most had no mint mark, that's normal. But this one had something extraordinary. A hidden flaw. A microscopic imperfection that only a handful of people in the world have ever seen with their own eyes. Collectors were stunned when the story broke. Dealers were skeptical at first. After all, how could an ordinary penny from 1989 fetch over $1 million? But when the details surfaced, the coin world went silent. What made this particular penny so special wasn't just the missing mint mark, it was the way the design was struck. The coin revealed a double die obverse, meaning Lincoln's profile, and the inscriptions, Liberty, and In God We Trust, were struck twice, ever so slightly off. To the untrained eye, it looked like a regular penny. But under magnification, the doubling effect was undeniable. And because it occurred on such a modern coin, it sent shockwaves through the numismatic community. But that wasn't the only secret this coin carried. During 1989, the mint was transitioning between different die sets, and in a rare, unexplained error, some planchets, the blank metal discs used to make coins, were improperly mixed. That mix-up led to pennies struck on slightly different metal compositions, giving certain coins a faint reddish or even darker hue. Those were the ones that collectors began chasing like buried treasure. It's like finding a time capsule that shouldn't exist. This penny defies logic. It's a ghost from the machinery. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. When the Illinois man sent his mysterious penny for grading, the results came back with a shocking verdict. It wasn't just a rare double die, it was also a transitional planchet error. That combination made it one of a kind. When it finally hit the auction block, bidding went wild. Within minutes, the price shot up past 6 figures, and when the hammer fell, it sold for over $1 million. News spread like wildfire. Coin dealers were scrambling to examine their 1989 Lincoln cents. Collectors began digging through old jars, rolls, and coffee tins, hoping lightning might strike twice. But here's the twist. No one expected where the next one would surface. A young college student in Ohio, completely unaware of coin collecting, found a 1989 penny in her change that looked off. Lincoln's nose and the L in Liberty appeared slightly doubled. She posted a photo online, and within hours, experts were begging her not to spend it. That coin later graded high and sold for nearly $800,000, a true $1 million miracle in the making. But what makes this penny truly legendary is how deceptively normal it looks. It hides in plain sight. You could pass it at a grocery store, drop it on the floor, or toss it into a jar without ever realizing it's worth more than your car, your house, maybe even your future. And here's the chilling part. Most of these coins are still out there. Lost in drawers, hidden in old piggy banks, forgotten in dusty jars. The U.S. Mint never confirmed exactly how many were struck, but experts estimate fewer than a dozen have been verified in pristine condition. That means your chances of finding one are slim, but not impossible. Every serious collector knows the thrill of the hunt, that feeling when you flip over a penny and your heart skips a beat. That's what makes coins like this so special. They remind us that history, luck, and mystery are sometimes just one coin away from changing your life. So how can you tell if you have the $1 million 1989 no mint mark Lincoln penny? Start by examining the details under good lighting or with a magnifying glass. Look closely at Lincoln's eye, his nose, and the word Liberty. If the letters look doubled or slightly shadowed, you might have a double die obverse. Check the date, 1989, and confirm there's no mint mark under the year. Then, flip the coin over and look at the Lincoln Memorial. If the columns or the word 1 cent show even a hint of doubling, don't ignore it. Also pay attention to the color and texture. Some of these rare pennies were struck on leftover copper planchets, making them heavier and slightly different in tone from standard zinc pennies. If yours feels heavier, or sounds more solid when dropped on a table, that's another big clue. Thousands of people confuse machine doubling for true double die errors. Machine doubling looks flat and shelf-like, while a real double die has rounded, raised edges that clearly show a second strike. If you're unsure, don't clean it, don't polish it, just send it to a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. Collectors are still on the lookout, and prices have only gone up. Even a lower-grade example of the 1989 no-mint mark double-die penny can fetch tens of thousands of dollars. A flawless one? Well, that's where the $1 million dreams come true. Think about it, a single penny, worth over $1 million. That's the magic of coin collecting. It's history you can hold in your hand. A reminder that even the smallest, most ordinary objects can hold extraordinary value. So tonight, when you empty your pockets or open that old coin jar, take a closer look. You might just find the same miracle others overlooked, a tiny piece of metal that could rewrite your story forever. But when one sharp-eyed collector took a closer look, he realized he wasn't holding just another Lincoln penny. He was holding a 1971 mint mark Lincoln penny worth up to $1.2 million. The story of this coin isn't just about luck. It's about timing, error, and a mystery that still has experts scratching their heads. You see, in 1971, the San Francisco Mint was still producing proof coins, beautiful, mirror-finished pieces meant only for collectors. But somehow, a few of those proof dies, the ones meant for the special sets, were used to strike regular circulation pennies. And that's when the rare 1971 Lincoln penny was born. At first glance, it looks ordinary. The same copper-red color, the same classic image of Lincoln staring forward. But one look closer, and something strange stands out. The mint mark beneath the date isn't the same as the others. On these rare coins, the mint mark looks doubled, faintly, but clearly visible under magnification. This tiny, almost invisible detail is what transformed a 1-cent coin into a $1 million marvel. Collectors call it the 1971 double die obverse. But to those who've seen it sell at auction, it's known by a different name, the $1 million penny. And yes, you heard that right. A single cent that's worth up to $1.2 million. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. When word got out that a handful of these era coins had slipped into proof sets, collectors across the country went wild. Dealers scrambled to check their inventory, old collectors tore open sealed proof sets they'd been saving for decades, and people started checking their parents' old coin boxes from the 1970s. Every one of them hoping to find that tiny doubling that could change their life forever. The first confirmed 1971's double-die penny sold for a staggering price. No one could believe it. The value shot through the roof overnight. What made it so special wasn't just its scarcity, but the sheer perfection of the error. You could see Lincoln's doubling on his face, his beard, and the inscriptions, "In God We Trust" and "Liberty," slightly shadowed, as if struck twice by fate itself. The story became coin collecting legend. One collector from California shared that he almost threw his proof set away after years of neglect. "It was just sitting in a shoebox," he said. "Then I saw the mint mark under a magnifying glass, and my heart stopped." That proof set ended up containing a coin that appraised for 6 figures. But the truly extraordinary examples, the pristine, untouched, mirror-surfaced 1971's double-die proofs, have been valued as high as $1.2 million at private auctions. And only a small handful are known to exist. Now here's the twist most people miss: not all 1971's pennies are valuable. In fact, millions were minted that year. The key difference lies in 2 tiny details. It must have the S mint mark, meaning it came from San Francisco, and it must have visible doubling on the obverse. That's the front, especially in the word Liberty and the date 1971. But here's the kicker: most people who own this coin have no idea. The doubling is subtle. You won't notice it with your naked eye. It's only visible under a magnifying glass or microscope. That's why thousands of proof sets from 1971 still sit in drawers, their owners unaware they could be sitting on a fortune. Collectors were shocked when professional graders started verifying the coins. PCGS, one of the top coin grading services in America, labeled them as 1971's double-die obverse proof. And instantly, the value of these coins skyrocketed. But what's even more amazing is how these coins slipped through the mint's strict quality control. Proof coins are struck multiple times to achieve perfect clarity. So how could a double die, a coin with a clear duplication, make it out alive? The answer lies in the chaos of the early 70s. The mint was experimenting with die preparation, and a few faulty dies accidentally made their way into production. By the time the mistake was caught, it was too late. Several sets had already been shipped out. That's how legends are made. One coin expert called it a 1 in a million fluke, literally. And that phrase couldn't be truer. Dealers today still talk about the day one of these rare pennies appeared at a small coin show in Ohio. The man who brought it in thought it was worth maybe $20. When the appraiser looked through the lens, he froze. After a long pause, he whispered, "Sir, you have something incredible here." That same coin went on to sell for over $500,000. And it's not just that single coin. Every once in a while, another one surfaces, a quiet discovery that reignites the frenzy all over again. Proof sets from dusty attics, estate sales, or even yard sales, all of them potential gold mines hiding behind the face of Abraham Lincoln. Start by checking your 1971 proof sets. The coin must have the S mint mark below the date. Next, look closely at the words, Liberty and In God We Trust. Under magnification, you should see a ghostly doubling, almost like a shadow behind each letter. If you see that, you may have just found one of the rarest modern pennies ever made. But be careful, there are fakes out there. Many people mistake machine doubling for the real double die. Machine doubling looks flat, shelf-like, and unintentional. True double dies, on the other hand, show rounded, raised doubling that looks almost 3D. If you think you found one, don't clean it, don't touch it, just get it graded. The difference between an unverified penny and a certified one could be hundreds of thousands of dollars. The beauty of this story is that it proves something extraordinary. Even the smallest things, the ones we overlook every day, can hide unimaginable value. Somewhere, right now, someone could be holding that same coin, completely unaware of its worth. Maybe it's tucked inside a jar on a bookshelf, maybe buried in a forgotten drawer, or maybe it's sitting quietly in your collection, waiting to reveal its secret. The 1971's Lincoln penny isn't just a coin, It's a reminder that miracles still exist in the most ordinary places. So take a moment. Go through your proof sets, your old coin folders, your inherited collections. Because if you happen to spot that tiny doubling, that small imperfection that changed history, you might be holding a piece of pure fortune. But when a sharp-eyed collector looked closer, he realized he was holding a small piece of American history, a 2005 Lincoln penny with no mint mark, worth up to $1.3 million. Now, most people wouldn't think twice about a 2005 penny. After all, it's modern, shiny, and looks like every other cent in your wallet. But hidden in that tiny copper coin lies one of the most shocking stories in modern numismatics. A mistake so rare, so subtle, that even professional dealers missed it for years. And once the truth came out, the coin world went silent. Let's rewind to 2005. The U.S. Mint in Philadelphia was producing hundreds of millions of Lincoln pennies. The mint marks, D for Denver and S for San Francisco, were the standard identifiers of where coins were struck. But some 2005 pennies rolled off the presses missing one crucial detail: the mint mark. A small omission that transformed an ordinary cent into a potential seven-figure treasure. At first, nobody noticed. These era coins quietly slipped into circulation, mixed in with countless others. They clinked in vending machines, fell through cash drawers, and sat forgotten in jars across the country. Until one collector in Illinois stumbled upon one in his pocket change. He looked at it twice. Something felt off. No mint mark. Clean surface. Sharp strike. He sent it off for grading, and the result shocked everyone. An authentic 2005 Lincoln penny struck in Philadelphia, missing its mint mark entirely. A genuine no-mint error, preserved in stunning condition. The value? Initially estimated at several $1,000s. But then, as collectors realized how rare it truly was, prices skyrocketed. Auction houses began whispering. Private collectors began bidding behind closed doors. And when one sold for over $1.3 million, it sent shockwaves through the coin collecting world. The answer lies in rarity and perfection. You see, most modern pennies are made with incredible precision. Errors like this are nearly impossible today. That's why when a no-mint mark 2005 penny surfaces, it's not just a coin. It's an accident that defied the system. A ghost of the mint's machinery that shouldn't exist, yet somehow does. Collectors were stunned. Dealers were scrambling to recheck their inventory. And ordinary people across the country began digging through their change, wondering, could I have one of these? Could my old penny jar be hiding $1 million miracle? But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. More examples started surfacing, but most were fakes. Clever counterfeits, doctored to look like the real no-mint mark coin. Some people even used acid to erase the D or S mint marks, trying to pass them off as authentic. But experts knew the difference. The real 2005 no-mint mark penny has very specific details, sharp edges, crisp lettering, and a particular sheen to the copper that can't be faked. One man in California thought he had one. He sent it for grading, certain he was about to become a millionaire. But when the results came back, his heart sank. Altered surface, fake. That's why identifying this coin correctly is everything. The difference between 1 cent and $1 million comes down to a few microscopic details. Here's what you need to look for. First, check the obverse. That's Lincoln's portrait side. Look just below the date. If you see no mint mark at all, that's your first clue. But don't stop there. Under magnification, the surface should appear completely smooth, with no signs of tampering or tooling. The lettering around, "In God We Trust," and "Liberty," should be perfectly struck, with no distortion. And most importantly, the coin should have that rich, red luster typical of a freshly minted cent, not dull, not damaged. But there's one more hidden detail that even some experts miss: the die alignment. On the authentic no-mint mark 2005 pennies, the reverse side, the Lincoln Memorial, is perfectly centered and aligned with the obverse. Any twist or misalignment likely means it's not genuine. One professional grader described the first discovery as a miracle of precision gone wrong. Imagine that, $1 million mistake. It's the kind of story that keeps collectors awake at night, dreaming of what could be sitting unnoticed in a jar of old coins. And this isn't just a story of luck, it's a story of timing. Because had that Illinois collector not looked twice, the coin could have ended up back in circulation, lost forever. Just imagine, a penny tossed into a grocery store register, its secret never revealed, its $1 million value gone with the next transaction. But what makes this story even more incredible is how such coins challenge everything we think we know about modern minting. The U.S. Mint operates under strict quality control, using digital imaging, laser inspection, and automated rejection systems. For a coin like this to escape unnoticed means something extraordinary happened, maybe a die switch, maybe a press calibration error, or maybe just fate. Dealers now call the 2005 no-mint mark penny the ghost of Philadelphia. Because it's there, but only if you look close enough to see it. And for those who do, the reward can be life-changing. 99.9% of pennies without a mint mark from 2005 are perfectly normal Philadelphia issues. Only a handful of verified error coins exist, and they're usually in near-perfect condition, graded MS67 or higher. That's what makes them so valuable. A flawless strike, an impossible error, and a traceable history. It only takes one coin to change your life. One penny to remind us that even the smallest pieces of metal can carry $1 million secrets. So take another look at your spare change tonight. That 2005 penny you've been ignoring might just be the one everyone's searching for. Examine it under a light, check the date, and see if the mint mark is missing. Because somewhere out there, someone is still holding one, without realizing it's worth a fortune. And here's the truth that keeps this legend alive. Coins like this remind us that treasure doesn't always come from gold or silver. Sometimes it comes from something as simple as a penny in your hand, carrying the quiet potential to change your life forever. So the next time you see a 2005 Lincoln penny with no mint mark, don't overlook it. Don't spend it. Hold it close, study it, and maybe, just maybe, you're holding a piece of American history worth over $1 million. A tiny, ordinary-looking 1992 Lincoln penny, the kind you've probably handled hundreds of times without thinking twice, turned out to be worth up to $1.4 million. And the reason why will leave you speechless. It all started like any other day. A man in Colorado was sorting through his pocket change after paying for gas. He wasn't a collector. He wasn't even looking for anything special. But one coin caught his eye. Something looked off. The date read 1992, and just below it, a small D mint mark. Nothing unusual there. But as he looked closer, he realized the letters on the word, America, were unusually close together, almost touching. His heart started racing. Could this really be what he thought it was? Because in the world of rare coins, the 1992 Lincoln penny is a legend. A mistake so small it's almost invisible, and yet, it's worth a fortune. This is the story of one of the most valuable modern pennies ever struck, and why you might have one sitting in your home right now. In 1992, the U.S. Mint was preparing a design update for the Lincoln penny. That year, they were getting ready to change the reverse side, the back of the coin, from the wide AM design to the close AM design, where the A and M in America nearly touch. The change wasn't supposed to appear until 1993. But somehow, a few experimental dies, test versions of the coin's stamping molds, were accidentally used in Denver. These were never meant to reach the public. But a handful of them slipped through the cracks. And just like that, an ordinary year for the Lincoln penny turned into one of the greatest modern coin mysteries in U.S. history. Collectors didn't even know about it at first. For years, these pennies circulated quietly, tossed in jars, traded at convenience stores, lost under car seats. But when the first verified 1992 declosed AM penny surfaced, it sent shockwaves through the coin world. Experts confirmed it was real, a minting transition error that shouldn't have existed. It was a 1 in a billion mistake. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. In 2012, one of these rare 1992 pennies appeared at a major coin auction. Bidding started modestly. But as collectors realized what they were seeing, the crowd grew tense. Dealers leaned forward. Phones started ringing. Within minutes, the price shot through the roof. When the final hammer dropped, the coin sold for tens of thousands of dollars. And since then, its estimated market value has skyrocketed to over $1.4 million. Think about that for a second. A 1-cent coin, struck during your lifetime, made with ordinary copper-plated zinc, worth more than a luxury home. Collectors were stunned. Coin dealers began scouring their stockpiles. YouTube channels, online forums, and treasure hunting groups exploded with excitement. Everyone wanted to know, could I have one too? And that's when the hunt began. People started pulling out their old coin jars, searching every penny from 1992. But here's the twist: most people have looked at the wrong detail. The real secret to spotting the $1 million version isn't the date, it's the spacing. Let me explain. On normal 1992 pennies, the letters A and M in the word America on the reverse are slightly apart, a small gap between them. That's the wide AM design. But on the rare 1992 D AM error, the two letters are nearly touching. There's barely a sliver of space between them, and the bottoms of the letters look almost fused together. It's subtle, but that tiny design difference is what makes this penny worth $1 million. There's another clue too. Look at the designer's initials, FG, just to the right of the Lincoln Memorial. On the valuable AM version, those initials are crisp and close to the building. On the normal version, they're spaced a bit farther away. That's how professional graders verify authenticity. But here's where things get even crazier. Only a handful of these 1992 D AM pennies have ever been confirmed. Fewer than 10 are known to exist. That's rarer than almost any modern US coin. And because collectors will pay astronomical sums for rarity, the value keeps climbing. One lucky collector discovered his in a roll of uncirculated pennies he'd bought years earlier for fun. He said he almost sold the roll for face value before deciding to check them one last time. When he spotted the AM detail, he thought his eyes were playing tricks on him. A few weeks later, it was certified and insured for over $1 million. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle. But the story doesn't stop there. Every year, more people are finding coins they thought were worthless, and discovering small minting errors that change their lives. The US Mint produces billions of coins annually, and even with modern technology, mistakes happen. Double dies, misstrikes, off-centers, and transitional errors all can turn a penny into a treasure, and the 1992 D penny isn't alone. There's also a 1992 no mint mark AM from Philadelphia that's equally valuable. Both are considered transitional design errors, meaning they were created with the wrong die for that year. It's like a secret message from history, hiding in plain sight. Imagine the thrill of finding one in your own collection. That's what keeps treasure hunters searching, year after year. That hope, that spark, that chance that today might be the day they uncover $1 million penny. These coins don't shout their value. They whisper it. They look just like every other penny until you look closer. That's why thousands of people have handled these coins and never realized what they had. Now, if you're wondering how to start checking your own coins, here's how. Grab any 1992 Lincoln pennies you have, especially those with the D mint mark below the date. Flip them over and examine the word, America, closely. If the A and M are almost touching, nearly fused together, you might be holding one of the rarest pennies ever made. Check the FG initials too. If they're close to the Lincoln Memorial and sharply struck, that's another sign you've got the real thing. Don't clean the coin, that can ruin its value. Instead, put it in a soft holder and have it examined by a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. They can authenticate it and tell you if it's truly the $1 million variety. Just imagine the feeling. One moment you're sorting through loose change, and the next, you're holding a coin worth more than your car, your house, maybe even your retirement savings. Collectors are still searching for the next one. Dealers are offering rewards. And the value keeps going up. Because every time a new one is found, it reminds the world how powerful one small discovery can be. The 1992 D Lincoln penny teaches a simple truth. That even the smallest things can hold unimaginable worth. That sometimes, life's greatest treasures are the ones we've been overlooking all along. So tonight, when you empty your pockets or dig through that old jar of coins, take a closer look. You might just uncover a piece of history. You might just find the next $1 million penny. But when its true value was revealed, collectors were speechless. Because this ordinary-looking 1979 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny is worth up to $1.5 million. Imagine reaching into your pocket for change, pulling out a dull brown penny, and realizing you're holding a life-changing fortune. It sounds impossible, right? But that's exactly what happened to one unsuspecting collector who nearly spent his $1 million penny at a gas station. The year was 1979, the disco era fading, gas prices climbing, and the Lincoln Memorial penny quietly circulating across America. To most people, these coins were pocket lint. But hidden among billions of ordinary cents, one extraordinary mistake was born at the Philadelphia Mint, a tiny error that turned a 1-cent coin into a 7-figure legend. Now here's where it gets mysterious. Most pennies struck that year carry a D for Denver or an S for San Francisco. But the Philadelphia Mint didn't add any letter at all. So when a 1979 penny has no mint mark, it means it was struck in Philadelphia. Normally that's no big deal, unless something went wrong during minting. And that's exactly what happened. One batch of 1979 no-mint mark pennies was struck with a flawed die, one that created incredibly sharp details on Lincoln's portrait but left faint doubling on the date and lettering. To the untrained eye, it looked normal. But under a magnifying glass? The doubling on "In God We Trust" and "Liberty" was unmistakable. This rare error, combined with pristine condition, created one of the most valuable modern pennies ever found. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. A collector at a small coin show in the Midwest stumbled upon a flawless 1979 no-mint mark penny in a box of common cents priced at just 50 cents each. He bought it, thinking it might be worth a few bucks. Months later, it was professionally graded by PCGS, Mint State 67 Red, one of the finest known examples on Earth. When it hit the auction block, the bidding war was electric. Prices jumped from a few thousand to tens of thousands, and before anyone could blink, it crossed 6 figures. The hammer fell at over $1 million. Dealers were silent. Collectors couldn't believe it. A penny worth 1 cent had just become a $1 million miracle. Why would a simple 1979 penny with no mint mark be worth that much money? The secret lies in rarity, perfection, and the story behind the strike. You see, most coins show wear, scratches, or dull color. But this one had blazing red luster, as if it had just left the press yesterday. Combine that with the doubling error and the absence of a mint mark, and you've got a combination so rare that even experts called it a once-in-a-lifetime specimen. And here's where things get even crazier. Not all 1979 no-mint mark pennies are valuable, but a few have subtle traits that could make you a fortune. Some show a rare double die verse, where Lincoln's profile appears slightly thicker, and the inscriptions look shadowed or duplicated. Others show what collectors call strong strike anomalies, where the rim and lettering look unusually bold. Every day, millions of 1979 pennies still pass through vending machines, cash drawers, and coin jars across America. Hidden among them could be the next 7-figure discovery. Collectors are scouring bank rolls and estate sales, hoping lightning will strike twice. Because if one ordinary person can find a penny worth $1 million, anyone can. The absence of the mint mark, that tiny missing letter, tells you it came from Philadelphia. The strong, crisp details and full red shine indicate it was never circulated. And if you see even the faintest doubling on the date or lettering, you might be holding something truly special. One man in Pennsylvania discovered his coin sitting in a jar on his dresser, untouched for decades. He thought it was just another penny until a local coin shop confirmed it was one of the ultra-rare early die strikes. That single penny paid off his mortgage. Stories like his are what keep collectors searching, because the next one could be you. But there's more. Experts believe only a handful of these high-grade 1979 no-mint mark Lincoln pennies exist in the world. The U.S. Mint never confirmed the exact number, but based on die studies, estimates suggest fewer than 10 examples with the specific doubling and condition have ever surfaced. That kind of rarity is what drives prices into the stratosphere, and it's not just about money. It's about history, luck, and the thrill of discovery. Holding a coin that survived decades unnoticed, then suddenly revealed to be worth over $1 million, that's the kind of story people dream about. First, check the date, 1979. Then, look under the year for a mint mark. If there's no D or S, you've got the Philadelphia strike. Next, under bright light, look closely at "In God We Trust, Liberty" and the date. If you notice faint doubling or shadowing, that's your cue to take it seriously. Finally, check the coin's condition. The brighter, redder, and sharper the details, the more valuable it can be. Don't clean it, don't polish it, and don't toss it in a jar. Store it safely and have it professionally graded. Because that's how ordinary change becomes $1 million treasure. Collectors across the country are still talking about the 1979 no-mint mark penny that broke records, a coin born from a simple oversight that became a legend. And with millions still unsearched, who knows? The next one could already be in your home. So the next time you empty your pockets, look twice. That dull little penny might not be so dull after all. It could be a symbol of luck, history, and fortune, all packed into one tiny piece of copper.